something on, let me ask you a simple question. What do you think is the purpose of this course?
Is it interaction?
You mean I am like waiting to interact with 10, 15, 20 kids and that's why I'm doing this course?
To respect the
Sir,
ancient people
understand.
and know the knowledge.
Sri Lakshmi?
To respect the ancient people who found out things.
Okay, good point. Okay.
To understand the
make
basic things on the science and how it is finded out, like not like equations only, but how it is finded out really.
Yeah. So the historical ways in
Find
which,
a way of learning.
yeah, an alternate way of learning, and also like what Clemmy told, understand the basics. Okay. Avinash was telling something.
Sir, I was going to tell the point of Clemmy, but also we have learning.
Oh, I'm not able to
The
hear.
point of Clemmy, the way of learning
Yeah, I couldn't hear what Avinash said. Is it same for
through
others?
the basics.
Yes, sir. It's not audible.
Okay, Avinash, repeat, please.
Can
No, it was breaking. If you can type it, it will be good. Okay, so Ananya is writing, knowing our history, present, and what might happen in future of science. Okay, good. Okay, all of you are right. So I would tell you my reasons, right? One thing is understanding new science and facts. Okay, no problem. So you all learned this in school, right? Okay, you all learned this in school. Fundamental things you learn in school, but there is a method in which you learn these things in school, and sometimes like we all have realized that people do not understand the crux of some subject, and you have to resort to by heart method of learning, or what we call as mug up way of learning, equations and some definitions and all those things. So one of the purpose of this course is to take the science, history, geography, all associated on some specific historical path, and dissect and cut it into pieces. Okay, threadbare you keep it, so that you don't have any doubts in that further. You understand the concept clear. On top of it, you should be able to build on your own. On top of it, the entire subject syllabus coverage, it's not the agenda, but the basic concepts, fundamentals of science, why you are learning so and so, what is the basis of today's science. So that concept, can you understand? And can you learn a different way of learning, an alternate way of learning, by really understanding it, by appreciating it, kind of stuff. Okay, so that is another way. So that is why when I'm repeating, when I give assignment, even if you don't write, I am okay, but when you write, there should be value for it. Okay, when you put time, you put some time, so that you dig something and present to all the people who are sitting here, not just only to me. Like Rishikesh gave that one or of that name I have not heard before. Okay, one that day in civilization. So and you also cannot tell that I don't like any of the assignments. Okay, so that also could not be true. Just work on one or two and learn that method, and together we can learn many things. Okay, and ask like very serious doubts, very serious doubts. So that is why I put that problem of this dead body. Okay, so now one of you, please explain, what did you understand? Gave this assignment on why dead body floats. I'm sure some of you would have done some research work. What do you understand? Anyone?
Sir, I understood that before a person dies, there is like air filled in our lungs. So that is how we won't float on water. Like the density of water is more than our the density of water is lesser than our density. So when we die, all the air from our lungs it is given out. So all the water from the wherever when water enters our lungs, when it fills up our lungs, for some time we'll float and then we'll sink.
Okay, so do all of you agree that to that concept that humans are less denser than water?
No, sir.
No,
No.
sir.
All elements in land is near or less than the density of water.
We are less than the density of water. That's what Rishikesh is telling.
Near or less.
Near or less. Okay. So do all agree to that?
So ours will be more denser than water because when we go into water, we tend to sink.
Yeah. So if you are lighter than, she's asking a very interesting question. That is the kind of question you should ask. If you are less dense than water, then when you just go to water,
Our
you should.
density is very, very small gap between water and our density. Our density is 985, 0.985 kilogram per cubic 1 cube. Right.
Okay.
So
See,
that is only 12.012.
so will you sink or not? If you just go to water, if you just go and drop yourself in water, will you sink or will you float?
So we will
Sink.
Sink.
So even we have even heard that don't jump into a water without knowing its depth, or even without knowing swimming. So that means that we will sink in water.
Okay. So that is the kind of questions you should ask. Okay. Are we denser than water or are we less dense than water? If yes, why? What is the reason? Will you sink? Okay. So that is the kind of questions you should ask yourself. And then one more point I want to tell you, when you learn science, stop the habit of looking for perfect 0 or 1 answers. For many questions, you may not have that perfect 1 answer. Okay, so that is another mistake which we have imparted in our learning system. This is the question, this is the answer. And that answer, if the is changed to was, you won't get mark. So that nonsense you have to bid adieu with, right? So for many stuffs, there could be many answers. It may not be 0 or 1. It could be in between. It cannot be probably black or white. It could be shades of gray, right? Even the best scientists, if you ask something, they will tell probably this could be something like this. Okay, but then that doubt won't be there for primary school teachers and students. They are very clear. Okay. Which is the smallest part of material atom. Okay, how many types of movements for Earth? 2 types. So we have to understand that this kind of cast in stone answers will not stand. So if you ask, are human beings denser than or lighter than water, you have to think what is meant by density. First thing. So you tell me what is meant by density. Don't give me definition.
Volume by mass.
That is the definition. I understand that. Volume by mass or mass by volume. What does it mean? What is it that? What does it represent? Is density mass? What is the difference between density and mass?
Mass is
Density.
the amount of matter present in a body.
What is density? Is it not the amount of matter present?
It
It
is
is in
how dense
comparison.
a substance is.
Tell me. Yeah, somebody told some good answer. Tell me.
Density is in compared to the mass of another object.
Yeah, so it's a good point. So you have to understand this. Density is mass. It is about, we are talking about the amount of matter. But then, why we need density? It is like you tell, I have got 41 out of 50 in chemistry and 52 out of 65 in physics and 63 out of 80 in mathematics. In which subject you have got more mark? Can you tell quickly?
Question again. Please.
Yeah, so you will have to ask me to repeat the question. But if I ask you this, I have got 81 out of 100 in physics, 85 out of 100 in chemistry, 91 out of 100 in maths. Which one I got more mark? You know the answer quickly without asking me to repeat.
Math.
That is because why you are able to answer the second one, not the first one?
So the difference is more.
No. That is not.
The total is same for all.
The denominator is same.
100.
Yes, the denominator, the base is,
Base.
yeah, the denominator or the base is same. All three subjects I am telling the mark in 100. Other one in 40, another one in 50, another in 60. You have to sit and calculate and bring all into same platter.
For that, we need to find the LCM.
Yeah, whatever you call. You have to bring everything into same comparable perspective. Okay, same way. If I ask you, the chair behind Rishikesh is of wood, and let us assume the next chair behind Ayati is of iron. Now, if I ask you, is the chair behind Rishikesh, that wooden chair, is having more mass, or the steel chair behind Ayati? Can you tell?
Hey.
You can't tell.
Can't tell.
You can't tell. It depends on the size. You might have a steel chair, but you might have a wooden chair which is having more mass than the steel chair. Right? So, but if you want to compare the mass between two, you will have to then ask, how big is it? How big is the object? Just like the subject. Compare the mass out of what? Out of 40, 50, 60, 100, right? So that's why we have the system called percent to calculate mass. Percent. Cent is 100 per 100. So similarly, to mass, if you want to compare, is steel having more mass than wood, than probably aluminium? How can you compare? You have to bring it to common denominator or common base. You understand? So what we will tell? We tell you take a common volume of steel, say 1 centimeter cubed or 1 meter cubed, a common volume of wood, common volume of steel, common volume of aluminium. Now you weigh the masses. Now you compare. Then you know the base is set. Then you can tell which of this is heavier. You understand? Do you get that? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that stuff, that unit volume, 1 centimeter cubed or 1 meter cubed, for that what is the mass is what we call as density. So density is same as mass, but of a unit volume. Right? So you have to understand the things in such way, you have to dissect things, whatever you study, and get into the core of it. And once you understand the basic of it, then it will be very easy for you to understand the things which are built on top of it. Right? Okay, get that? Now you tell me. So these kind of parameters are what we call as something which you are measuring for a unit. Here it is for a unit mass. Can you think of 3 or 4 some other parameters similar to density? So density is equal to mass, but for a specific volume. Can you think of some other parameters very similar, which is for a specific unit? May not be of volume, some other stuff. Rishikesh, 1 cubic meter wood weight may not be more than of iron. Okay.
Oh, okay,
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Momentum.
Momentum. See, like we are telling, density is equal to actually mass only. Momentum is equal to what? Momentum, is there any other thing to represent momentum? Is it? See, these are things which we call as rate parameters. Like density is the rate of mass per a unit volume. Actually, density is equal to mass for a unit volume. Like that, can you think of other parameters which you have studied? Something which is you call as a rate? I'll give you one more example. Yeah, Ananya,
Acceleration.
Acceleration. It is a rate. You are right. You tell me now, acceleration is what?
Rate of change of velocity.
Yeah, you are right. So it is actually change in it is velocity. Acceleration is velocity, but change in that. But when you come to velocity, it is much more similar to this, because velocity is distance. When you tell velocity, it is actually distance. But what is the problem? You tell that this bus has traveled 550 kilometers and this car has traveled 350 kilometers. This motorcycle has traveled 150 kilometers. Who traveled faster? Can you answer?
The bus.
No, sir.
You can't answer. You don't have the information to answer. How do you know it is bus?
So you told 550 kilometer per hour.
Yeah, no, but I didn't say per hour. I told 560 kilometers.
Okay, sir. No.
So if you want to calculate which one is faster, what other information you need?
time.
Yeah, if you bring the time factor and tell in 1 hour how much distance each of one has traveled, then you can compare. And that is what we call a speed. It is same, speed is distance. If you tell the speed of the car is 100 kilometer per hour, that only means in 1 hour, it covers a distance of 100 kilometers. It's a distance, but in a unit parameter called time. Okay, so one more brilliant example is given in the chat. You can see by Shreyas. You see, so that is called pressure. What is pressure? Pressure is force. It is like, I take a knife and kick Avinash. Just like this. Avinash is standing, I take the knife and kick it, like this. And next, I take a mobile phone, again kick him with the same force. Which will hurt more?
Knife.
Force is same,
Oh,
but the knife will hurt more. Is it not? Force is same. The force which I'm applying is same. But then this surface area is more, so it will hit more surface area in his body, but the knife will get a very less area. So which means it is not just the force that matters. It's not just the amount of force that matters. It is the amount of force in a specific area. Right? So that is like that is why, nowadays all of you have in the school, when you go, you will have bags, right? You will have bags when you go to school. Have you seen the patti of that bag? It will be very broad.
Yes.
Right? Why do you think it is broad?
to reduce the surface area.
Yeah, not to increase the surface area. To increase surface area, right? See, if you instead of the same school book bag, if or any other bag, if you carry with a light thin strap, then you know it will pain you. Same force. But when this is there when it distributes. So what matters is not the force there. What matters is the force per a unit area. Okay, that is what we call as pressure. Okay, so now Ayati is asking a question. Ayati, you are messaging me privately. You can message to everyone so that everyone gets to know. If density is equal to mass, why they are named different? So that is what I was explaining all this time. That mass is the mass of the whole object, and density is the mass of a unit volume of it, 1 centimeter cube or 1 meter cube. Yeah, Ayati?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So now coming back to our dead body stuff. Now you tell me, now you know that what is density, we know very clear. If you want to know whether human body is denser than water, what all you will look into that? What all are the information you need? You tell me with your common sense. What would be
Density
the
of water.
density of water?
Density of both of them.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else?
How will the human stand in the water? I think if it
Okay.
the surface area.
Okay. I'm waiting for some brilliant answers. See, your kidney has to work, okay? Don't think of by hearting. Clemmy, please type in. I can't, the voice is breaking. Clemmy, the voice is breaking. You can type in.
She asked to repeat the question.
Yeah, what I was asking is, if you want to know whether a human body is denser than water, what are the things you have to know? How will you look into that? See, you all gave a very simple answer, straightforward. Get the density of body and that of water. I want to tell you.
Volume, mass.
Things are not that simple. How do you get the body of the density of your body? Is it like steel or something, or water or something very uniform?
No.
For that matter, do you think the different parts of your body will have the same density?
No, sir.
And why did you tell? See, I'm thinking that is the kind of questions you have to first ask. How will you calculate the density of body in the first place?
We can take average volume.
Yeah, you have to take the average value of the volume, and different parts have different density, and you can never tell humans body density so and so.
Can we?
You can't. It depends on people. Density of Rishikesh is different from density of Ritish, is again different from density of Megha. Okay, actually Megha will have a higher density compared to Avinash. Sorry, not Avinash. Maybe maybe I will tell compared to Elisa. Maybe. And Avinash density could probably be more compared to Ritish. It all depends on how much muscle you have, how much fat you have, and gender wise it makes a difference. Women are normally less denser. It's actually easy for them to float. Okay, So you can never tell. It also depends on how much air you have in your lungs at a given point of time, which means what is your density at this moment will change in the next moment. So as I'm telling, don't look for one answer and write that, got mark and finished science. Doesn't work like that. Okay, so be ready for getting to the gray, shades of gray. It can change. So one thing you should understand, human body has good amount of water. And there are lots of human parts which are lighter than water, especially our fat. So if you just cut your belly alone and put on water, it will float. If you cut head alone and put in water, it will sink. Okay. So total, when you put it together, it can vary. It will be almost like Rishikesh told, almost comparable. Very much comparable. But then you will ask, why do you sink? Because actually when you want to float on water, if you don't have to sink, there are two organs which are important, which you want above the water. There are two organs which you want above the water. Which are them?
Head.
Yeah, your nose
No.
and your mouth. Right? And unfortunately, this portion you have higher density. So that's why when you jump in water, when you float, 1 second. Okay. So excuse me. So what will happen? Actually, your this tummy and this part, it will actually be almost at par with water. But your head and leg and all will feel like drowning. Okay, you won't just like that sink in water. Actually, you'll float on. But what will happen in the process? If the head goes down, you will intake water, and like somebody told here, if water goes into your lungs, then it can change the density and all those things, right? So you have to ask all these questions. It look like such simple thing like density, and rest of the things like whatever you have written when the body is, it's all depends on buoyancy. All of this is depending on buoyancy. So when your body is put on water, body will displace water equal to its volume. So the question is, the mass of your body is more for that volume or the mass of the water? That is the only question. That two upward and downward forces. And then when the body goes down, what would happen is that the bacterial action will happen because you don't have life, and that will emit a lot of gas and your body will bloat. It will swell. So what will happen when it swells? Obviously, the volume of water which you displace will be more. Is it not? So like it is same thing. It's like chapati. The ball of chapati is spread now. Okay, you have spread it. So it will, now it becomes, the body bloats mean it will start displacing more water, which means the upward force is more. You displace more water. And incidentally, some of your mass will reduce also. So that is why it comes up. Right? Then you have to look by telling that what if it is salt water in sea? If you're in salt water, sea, what will it affect?
No. Salt water.
We will float.
Compared to a river or a pond, will there be any difference?
Yes, we can float.
Okay. Any difference, and why?
It will be more denser.
Salt.
It will be
Salt.
okay. Good. What will happen because salt is there?
Density changes.
Density increases or decreases?
Increases.
Yeah. See, so it will make it denser, like what Mega and all have written. So in sea, it will be more denser. So actually what happened, the dead body will come up faster in sea. The number of days for the dead body to float, to come up, is more in a river or a pond compared to sea.
Dead Sea.
Yeah, in Dead Sea, what happened? Because of that salt water, the buoyancy is more. It's actually easier for you to float in seawater, actually speaking. Right? You understand? And now let me ask you, is there buoyancy in air?
Yes, I think so.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any evidence? Is there
I
buoyancy
had
in
just
air?
read somewhere.
Yeah. Apply your common sense. Do you see anything in day-to-day life which proves buoyancy of air
Yes,
just like water?
birds
Flying.
flying. Birds flying.
Birds flying is not because of buoyancy.
Sir,
Birds
layers of
apply pressure.
atmosphere.
The hot air balloons.
Layers of atmosphere.
Sir, hot air.
A balloon,
That
yeah,
flies.
you see balloon, and even some things which will float. You see this like there are certain leaves kind of stuff and all which you see kind of floating sometimes. Feather, see, appupantadi, see floating. So you know that they are lighter than air, so they displace air equal amount of volume, and then the question becomes whose mass is more for the same volume. Okay, so you have to ask questions like this. Don't think like I ask one question, you will just one answer one. Yeah, Rishikesh.
So, why ഈ അപ്പൂപ്പന്മാര് നിലത്ത് വീണ് last?
There could be many reasons. He's asking why some feather falls down. There could be many reasons. Sometimes it will attract some moisture or dew or something, you know, and it will be making it more denser. It may attract some dust. Could be many reasons. But the simple point is the buoyancy what Archimedes has developed is what all these things are based on that. Right? Okay, so we have spent enough time on, yes.
Sir, just one doubt.
Yeah, please.
So these synchronized swimmers, they float on water while performing. How does that happen then?
Synchronized swimmers.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
They
see,
perform
yeah,
by
see,
floating on water.
yeah, swimming, actually what happens is, what is swimming? Actually, what is swimming? What are you doing while swimming?
Sir, floating.
Yeah, but what you actually do?
Move your hands and like
Move your hands.
Yes, the
direction of the
opposite
water.
there lies. See, like Clemmy is telling, see, it's a fight. You just understand, it is a fight between two forces. One force called gravity, which pulls you down, and another force called buoyancy, which pulls you up, pushes you up. Okay? Now, when you swim, whom do you want to win this race? This downward force or upward force?
Upward.
You want the upward force to win, right? So you try to help it. You try to help it. So how you try to help the upward force? You know, every action has equal and opposite reaction, right? So if you are in water, you push the water down. What will happen? There will be an upward force reaction. So which means you are trying to help this upward arrow. You understand? That is what you do while swimming. So synchronized swimmers also, they will be doing some movement. Actually, you need to give a very slight force only to float, because the density of body and water are almost at par. So you need a very slight force only. So you just may give with hand or a leg or some way, if you just give some force upwards. So for that, you try to push downwards so that there is an equal and opposite reaction upwards. Yes, Lakshmi?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Now coming to this, so this gentleman called Archimedes, what are we telling? He is in BCE, and still we are learning whatever he has developed. It is still sacrosanct. Okay. So Rishikesh, I'm repeating, you can't put a sacrosanct figure, a perfect figure like that, because human body density will vary from person to person, time to time. Water may not be. Water also depends on how much dust and other things are there, right? So don't try to look for an exact figure of difference between human body and water density. It will not be there. Okay, yeah. So you have to get used to these uncertainties, right? But we will have a band. We will tell it's almost comparable. Okay. So now this gentleman called Archimedes is again a legendary person. Whatever he has developed, we are still learning today. And the myth goes that he had developed, it seems, so much of defense equipments for his country, and which helped his country in wars at that time. Okay, and then it seems in one of the war, the opposite country, the king of them there, it seems he specifically told his soldiers, you know, when you go and attack, ensure that that person called Archimedes is brought alive. It seems it's a myth, because he's a precious asset, because we want him. Okay, so the story goes like this. It seems the Archimedes was sitting and doing some mathematical experiment when these people came, and they told, come, you are conquered. It seems Archimedes told, wait, I am busy in some experiment kind of stuff. Seems his life was taken away. This is the story, right? And we don't know, it seems they buried him there, and it seems that king was very angry and upset because they couldn't get Archimedes. So the only thing which we know is his tomb was found out in this place. That is what it is told.
Archimedes tomb.
Archimedes tomb.
We
Yes.
got a assignment.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. In maths course, I had given assignment for this. So it seems it was found here. A person called Cicero found it here. It seems. Can you by looking at this, can you see which is this place? Which could be this country or place?
Greece.
Okay, so incidentally, it's a painting, okay, by a very famous French artist. So this, he had a painting called on Archimedes' tomb of Cicero's discovery. Okay, and that tomb is a tourist spot. It seems they reconstructed that. It seems he was trying to find out the ratio of volumes of a cylinder and a sphere, and he had found it out. At that time, it is 3:2. Okay, so that was here. So now moving on from continuing with the adventures of our Greek friends, you can see Ananya is asking, so we are more denser than quicksand, so we sink faster. No, see, Ananya, there are more things to quicksand. Okay, there are much more things than quicksand. Of course, in quicksand, yes. What is the difference between normal sand and quicksand? In quicksand, it is less dense because there is water in between. It is falling apart. If you have a very dense sand bed, you won't fall below that, right? Right. So the moment when you tell quicksand, that means, you know, it is the particles are apart, which means you have chances of falling down. It can't hold you. It can't hold you. Okay. Right. So this was another stuff which people had found out during some of the excavations. Can anybody assume what could be this? From
Some
Greek
type
era.
of computer.
The computer.
Yeah, so it was an analog computer, which they used to use at that time to know the positions of stars and planets. By looking at this, they can tell when will be the next eclipse. Okay, close to 2,500 years before.
Mesopotamian, that
They also had some kind of.
This cross.
Yeah, so they also had some kind of an analog system. This was much more advanced. Antikythera, it is much more advanced, which our people had reproduced this with this all gear structure and all those things. Very complex, very, very difficult to believe that people had developed these kind of things at that point of time. Okay, and they can look at it and tell the position of different planets, stars, and all those things. You see how brilliant, right? Okay, some more thing. So we don't have photographs of that time. There were no selfies of Archimedes. Yeah. So like Rishikesh told, this is a painting of Raphael. So have you heard of Raphael, the artist? So if you haven't, I would like to give this as an assignment to you on who all are the Renaissance trio. So there is something which we call, yeah, Renaissance trio. Trio means three famous painters of Renaissance.
I think I had studied.
Yeah, so this is not a school. It is the name of the painting called School of Athens. It means actually the school. By school, what they mean is the rich culture or rich scientific culture or rich set of scientists whom they had at that time. So all these are very famous scientists. And this painting is a very famous painting by Raphael. So I will give this assignment to you of who are the Renaissance trio, three famous painters. And just search, and one person can search in some area, another person can search in some other area. So these are the names in this. Those names are written. Probably some of the names could be familiar to you. Is it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Like?
Pythagoras,
Plato,
Aristotle,
Ptolemy,
Ptolemy,
Euclid,
Mm.
Socrates,
Pythagoras,
Okay.
Socrates,
Okay.
Anaximander.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay.
Zeno's paradox.
Zeno's paradox. Yes, Zeno. Okay. Hey, you see very less women. Have you heard of this woman?
Hypatia,
Hypatia. Okay. So try to go and search for this movie called Agora. Okay. Beautiful movie.
I have heard.
Okay. Oscar entry. Beautiful movie. Try to go and see that movie called Agora. Okay. Try to watch that movie. So she was heading a mathematics institute at that time, and she was assassinated. Okay. Very intriguing story. Okay. Right. So moving on, what happened? The essence of what all these things happened is there was a Greek gentleman, scientist called Ptolemy, who put together all the scientific concepts about the universe at that time, mostly borrowing from Aristotle and people like him. And he put together a concept of universe, and that was this, which is what we call as Ptolemaic universe. Ptolemaic means because it has come after Ptolemy. We also call it as geocentric universe, because you can see this center of this universe is Earth. Geo means Earth. Okay. So now, can you think why they would have thought Earth is the center of the universe?
Because everything revolves around them in their sight.
Okay, when they look at it, everything revolves around them. Okay. Any other reasons do you think?
maybe because from when we see from Earth, we observe that Sun is revolving us.
Yes,
Then
right.
Moon and other planets.
Yeah, you are right. When you look from Earth, you feel like Sun is revolving around you. Yes. Anything else you think?
Sir, I guess because they were on Earth, they didn't feel the revolution of the Earth.
Yeah, beautiful point. When you are on Earth, you see you are just riding a bicycle, probably 25 kilometers per hour. You feel the wind, right? don't you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but you are not feeling that wind when you're sitting in earth. Why?
Sir, because the earth also rotates while
Yeah, beautiful. The atmosphere of earth is also rotating, but that time they were not knowing it. That time they were not knowing it. That concept of atmosphere and it is rotating along with earth was not knowing at that time. So they genuinely thought if we are moving at such faster rate, we should have known it. Like how you feel when you ride a bike or a car, right? Any other reasons do you think? Okay, so have you heard of this concept called parallax?
No, sir.
Okay, so do one thing, you point your finger to a small object in your room where you're sitting. Point your finger, any finger, to any object, any small object, okay, not a very small object, just point and close your one eye. Close your one eye, okay, right? And now suddenly open that eye and close the other eye. Point your finger to a point, a small point in wall which you can see, a small object or something.
First it is in left, and after closing other eye, it's in right.
So the position
Yes,
changed,
sir.
right? Did you observe?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right? Did you all observe?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, everyone, did you see that? How it works? Why so? Why? What could be the reason?
Binocular vision.
I loved that answer from Megha, because we have talked so much about perspective, Srikanth, critical view, and all those things. So Megha told these are two different perspectives, right? Brilliant attempt. Okay, but Megha, like when we tell about perspective, it is about the view what we see with both the eye. It's not like one each eye will give two different perspective. Okay, yeah, Rishikesh. Binocular vision. Okay. What is that?
because one eye can see only one angle.
Yeah, right. One eye can see only one angle.
And when both intersection of both of our eyes creates one single point. So
yes, that
the
is
point
right.
where we place our finger.
That is right.
Yes, sir.
Perfect answer. So that is the thing. See, that is how our eye works. Okay. So let us assume that you have like your eye was here, and then after that your eye is here. Let us assume. Okay, think that you are looking at an object somewhere here. Okay, so when you look through one eye, so the earth will feel the object is somewhere here. This eye, you will feel the object is somewhere here. And from this side, when you look, you will feel the object is somewhere here. So that is why night or sometime, if you close one eye and try to walk, you may go and hit some door.
Sir,
So the position,
one doubt.
Yeah.
So why archers and shooters closes their one eye and shoot?
Come again?
Why are shooters and archers?
Yeah, correct. See that they are actually looking through a specific lens, and they are not seeing a far off stuff. They are seeing only that whatever reflection is coming in that specific lens. Okay, and that lens is, that image is what they see. Actually, with one eye closed, if you shoot a far off stuff without that this thing lens of this one, you will actually miss. You just try doing that. If you have a dart, okay, try closing one eye and do that. Okay, it is a bit difficult, right? But then there are certain advantages of closing one eye. That is because you can see through an object. Like this, you want to see through this, you can't see through two eyes, right? Through one line, if you want to see, you are only there, you are only bothered about Rishikesh getting that line correct. So you know that when you look from here, this object is here also, don't worry, because your arrow is going in the straight line. Whether it is here or here, it doesn't matter. You want to get that line only. Yeah, because you are seeing to get that line. Line is correct here. But the distance from here to here will change. That position, whatever you see, that will change. The line is correct. The line which goes from your eye, that could be correct. Okay. So what is happening? Let us assume the example which Rishikesh told. You are looking through your one eye, but your revolver is also in this line, same line. So it will go in the same line. And when you're shooting, you're only bothered about getting that line right. You understand? Okay. But if you keep the revolver in the center like this with one eye, you will lose it. Like the center, if you keep and do, you will lose it. Try to do with the dart. Okay. So actually, our eye takes care of this kind of stuff. And Riddhish told this intersection is what we take as the position. Okay. So now coming to the science of this one, the genuine question people that time asked was, assume sun was here and earth was rotating the sun. Some people even argued at that time also by telling sun is the center, earth is rotating. So the people of proponents of this theory, they asked, assume what you are saying is true. Think that your earth is somewhere here during some part of the year. And during some other part of the year, earth is somewhere here. Okay. Now, if you look at, say, a star in the sky, let us assume you have a star here. If you're looking at a star, when you look from earth, during some part of the year, you will see the star somewhere here. During some other part of the year, you should see the star somewhere here. Sorry, assume it is crossing. Which means the position of the stars throughout the year should keep on shifting. But when we look from earth, most of the stars which you are able to observe are all at the same position. Which means this phenomenon called parallax is not being observed in the case of stars. You understand? Because of this parallax, they knew at that time. So if earth is rotating around sun, when you look from here and look from here, the position of stars should change. But it is not happening so. So that is one of the reasons why they thought earth is the center of the universe. Can you tell why they were not able to observe parallax?
So maybe they thought that while even the earth is fixed, the sun is also fixed.
No. No. You see, their schema, sun is rotating. Not enough technology. You are partially right, Ananya. Why they were not able to observe parallax? Why there is no parallax when you look at stars from Earth?
Sir, because we have only one side of view, right? We don't have two sides.
You have two sides. When Earth is rotating, sometime Earth is here, sometime Earth is there. Just works like how two eyes work.
Stars are too big.
Yeah, both reason, like Shreyas and Avinash told. One is stars are too big. You do this experiment, whatever I have told, you just come out of your home and try to point to the mountain near to your house and do this experiment again. You will not see a difference. Because mountain is so big, you won't observe it. So that time they were not knowing the stars are so huge, right? And also, like what Shreyas has told, stars are so far away to observe this. So these two facts they were not knowing at that time. So the point is, it was not because of some blunder. They had their own genuine reasons to believe why the earth is the center of the universe. And then one more important reason is there. Okay, so that one more important reason is the theory of force, what Aristotle told. So Aristotle's force theory was that you need a force to move something, right? Many of you told in the last class you agree with that. So then the question was, which force is pushing Earth? Earth is so huge. Who can push Earth? If you need a force to move something, which force can move Earth? So there he felt, no, there is nothing in this world which can move Earth, because Earth is so huge, right? So then you will ask the question, then how come the other big planets and stars and sun and everything, they can think like rotating around Earth, which can push that? Do you have that doubt? Do you have that doubt?
Yes,
No?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these are the kind of doubts which should naturally come to your mind. Okay. So that is where faith comes into picture. People were thinking all the gods are there in Earth. All the religious figures have come in this Earth. So they felt Earth is a divine place. And everything should rotate Earth. Because Earth is a divine place. This is where gods are born. So they believed that everything should rotate Earth because of the divinity of Earth. Right? So this was another reason why people thought Earth is the center of the universe. And you have to understand, this theory stood for next 15 centuries. Because of multiple reasons. One, because of faith. Then also because it had the backing of people like Aristotle, who are supposed to be visionary, legendary people. But then there were problems. Some problem is, have you observed when you go in a car and if you overtake another car, how will you feel when you look at the other car which you are overtaking?
That is going backwards.
Yeah, you will feel that car is going backwards, right? Or if you go in a train, you will feel the trees are running backwards, right? So similarly, what will happen is the speed at which the planets rotate all vary. The speed of Earth is different from speed of Saturn and different from speed of Jupiter. So what will happen as Earth is overtaking Saturn, you will feel like Saturn is going backwards. Just like how you overtake a car, you will feel the other car is going backward. And that is called retrograde motion. Retrograde motion. RETROGRAD, retrograde motion. So now that is to be explained. Right? How is that retrograde motion happening? Because Earth is standstill, right? How can sometimes Saturn go back? How can sometimes Jupiter go back? So they've added some twist in this theory. They told, well, Earth is here in the center and all these planets are rotating like this and then revolving like this, rotating and revolving. You see, first, if you believe in a wrong theory, to make it right, you have to tell so many other things. It is like somebody tells, you tell one lie, to justify that you will tell 1,000 lies. So then the question came like, how are climate change? So they told, okay, well, this Earth is not exactly at center for every time. It can shift. The center can shift at some time. Okay. Then when you calculated the orbits of different planets, that is not matching. Then they told, well, for different orbits, the center can change. This is called equant. Equant can change. See, the thing is like, with all these things, this theory stood for 1,400 years. Because people had so much of resistance to overcome this theory, right? Okay, so this is the last point I would like to stop today. So from this we will move onwards in the next class. This is to sum it up. So these are the reasons why they thought the earth is the center. They thought, like you are having something like earth is here and the sun is moving. So they couldn't believe like earth could be moving and sun is stable. When you look at it, it is not that way. Okay, it is looking like earth is stable and sun is moving. And then this Aristotle's theory was a critical thing, and this thing called parallax, whatever we heard, that I part of it. And then one more reason is there, that is called this I will give you as an assignment. Okay, you will have to break some of your midnight oil to get it. Okay, but think about it. When you look from earth, the sizes of Mercury and Venus are almost the same throughout the year. You understand? So if earth was rotating around sun, which means during some time earth can be here and Venus can be here, during some other time earth can be here and Venus can be here, they can be close and sometimes they can be far apart, right? So if you see an object from close, it should look bigger to you. When you see an object from far, it should look small to you. It's a common sense. So if earth is here and Venus is here, Venus should look smaller, and Mercury also. And when during some period of the rotation, some part of the year, when earth is here and Venus is here, it should look smaller to you. So it should look bigger to you. So the distance between earth and Venus and earth and Mercury, when it changes, the observed size of that should vary, but it doesn't happen. The size of Mercury and Venus, when you observe from earth, is almost the same throughout the year. So they believed that this can be possible only if earth is stationary and these things are rotating. Because when earth is stationary and these things are rotating, the distance from earth to Mercury and earth to Venus are constant, the radius of that orbit. You understand? So why, when you look from earth, the sizes of Mercury and Venus are almost constant? That is your second assignment today, right? So we would stop at that point. Any doubts you can ask.
Sir, I wanted to ask you something.
Please.
So according to the information available, we think, we question others, we question ourselves, and then we make a theory.
Yeah.
So now we are believing that earth is revolving, earth is sun is stable and earth is moving. So that might not be true.
Yeah. So that's a good point. So you are asking actually essentially what is science? Okay.
I don't know what I'm asking.
Yeah, that is a question. It's a good question. It's a brilliant question. So you're essentially asking what is science? How can we tell sun is in the center and earth is moving? Right? Okay. So that is what we have something called theory of science. How do we tell that? We call a scientific process. Okay. So there was a gentleman called Karl Popper who has defined a theory. This is what we follow in science. Okay. So that is called the theory of falsification. Theory of falsification. That means you put a scientific theory. You have to provide proof for it. The proof for geocentric universe are those things, whatever I've told. They told parallax is not observing. Mercury and Venus are of same size throughout the year. When you look at it, sun looks like moving. These are the proofs they brought. But one evidence against a proof means that theory is gone. So science works in this theory called falsification, which means one person finds a scientific theory is false and proves it, then the theory is dubbed. Okay, so as on today, we have proof that sun is the center and earth is revolving. But IRT brings one proof, solid proof, that it is not so. That science will be dubbed. You understand? So the life of any scientific theory is till the day one person proves that it is wrong. You get that? Okay. Okay. Any further question?